What's good, everybody? So today we're going back. We are watching a Genshin Impact video by Pogwill right here. This is a new creator, and his first video is immediately apparently a banger. So we're going to watch this and give some takes. Genshin Impact is the best game. I can't recommend a video essay. I am very, very, very curious at what exactly this is, because I'm someone, I was a day one, surprise, surprise, I was a day one Genshin Impact player, and I've been on and off it for literally years. There was a time I didn't play it for like a year and a half. There was another time I didn't play it for 6 months, and I keep going back to it every couple of months at this point. Do the Archon quest, catch up, move on, maybe to see what's up and move on. I'm the most touristy tourist when it comes to Genshin Impact now. I want to see what Pogwill has to say about Genshin Impact being the best game that I can't recommend. So let's go and take a look.
For most people, getting their friends and peers to play their favorite games is kind of obvious, no? That's just what you do. If you like a game, you want others to get that same experience. And I would agree. Mostly. I've played a lot of video games over the years, but not all the games that I've played are ones that keep me coming back.
Just to let y'all know how much of a true gamer I am, okay? I have hundreds upon hundreds of games on my Steam account, okay? My Steam level is through the roof. You might think I'm just a little tourist, a little gaming tourist. Oh, you just play gacha games, Cap. Oh, you just play gacha games. Okay, wait, let's take a look at my Steam library real quick, okay? Wait, hold up. Just to prove my worth in the gaming sphere. I own 368 games. Oh, look at that. Oh, 12 of those recently was on Art Creators. I'm a real gamer, okay? I'm gonna take stuff from anybody.
Over and over, playing more and more, dipping hundreds of hours into their content. One of the games that has? Genshin Impact. Let's set the stage. It's September 28th, 2020. The world is well into the lockdown following the COVID-19 pandemic, leaving a lot of different people with all sorts of free time. I, for one...
I played a lot of WoW. Guys, I played a lot of World of Warcraft when COVID happened, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I played a lot. That was my thing. Yeah, oops.
I had just started my senior year of high school taking classes online. Over the summer, I had finished my 8th and final playthrough of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Having done a 100% play.
8! I didn't even finish Breath of the Wild, I'll be so real.
Through of the game's master mode difficulty, and at last I felt comfortable putting down what had cemented itself as my favorite game of all time.
That's crazy.
But tonight, I was bored. I opened Twitter, as I often did around that age, and checked out the trending tab. Genshin Impact. I browsed a few clips of the game, and immediately...
You scroll, and you just see the most insane R34 of bloody Paimon. That would be something to edit. People do that, bro. Searching Genshin Impact and scrolling through like tweets is not a good idea. You will find the most explicit stuff. Like don't do it, bro. Do not search Genshin Impact into Twitter. I promise you, within like 5 seconds, you'll find some Yuri, like explicit content or some yaoi stuff. You will see a man straddling another man within like 30 seconds if you do that. Okay, I'm just saying.
Wrote it off to be just another game trying to capitalize on Breath of the Wild's success. The environments looked the same. The exploration
Cell shading
looked the same. The enemies looked the same. But I was bored and wanted to laugh, so I figured I'd give it a quick install. The plan was to mess around for a bit in a presumably bad video game for about half an hour and then go to sleep. Immediately foiling my plan, however, the game's installer was insanely slow. So, in the end, I set an alarm for 2 hours before my classes the following morning and went to bed.
I, the traveler.
I woke up at 5 a.m. to the game not being done.
5 a.m. Bro.
So.
The only time I wake up at 5 a.m. is because I need to go for a fucking piss because I'm old now. I'm old now, and if I drink too much, I gotta wake up at 5 a.m. to go for it. I've approached that age, guys. That's it. It's over for me, bro. It's fucking over. That's it. I'm done, bro. That's it. I can't. Oh my god. It's so over for me.
I let it do its thing and went to YouTube, looking to learn a bit more about the game before I started playing. After browsing thumbnails for a bit, I came across a video of somebody who claimed to have spent several $100s on the game. I knew that Genshin was free to play with microtransactions, but...
Do you want to be crazy? I was a day one Genshin player. I never watched Genshin Impact content on YouTube. I never watched anything. I never watched streams. I never watched YouTube. I just played the game. And I was like this for years, like maybe 3-4 years. I never watched this. The only time I started actually looking up content for like gacha games was when Honkai Star Rail came out. Like legit. I did see a couple of Genshin things, like videos here and there, but I wouldn't like actively search for it. Like I remember watching Tectone and like Mtashed, funnily enough, like a couple times during the Genshin thing, but it wasn't until Honkai Star that I actually started to watch like gacha content.
How could someone have already... Oh, hey, my install's done. After booting up the game and waiting for it to download more shit on the main menu, I was met with a door. Click to begin. And so I did. The doors open and the camera rushes inside, giving a visual to the idea that you've just dove headfirst into a whole new world to explore.
Oh boy.
As the game's introductory cutscene played, I immediately found myself doubting my earlier negative assumptions about this game. The art style here wasn't anything mind-boggling, just an anime stylization, albeit one very well executed. What really hooked me was the music.
Genshin has really, bro, I've said for so long that like Genshin or HoYoverse would make for a great like media company, right? HoYoMix is so good. Yu Peng Chen was so good at really reinforcing the heart and drive of like HoYoverse OSTs. And they always make banging soundtracks and OSTs. They need to make like a TV show or something. I would genuinely watch it. Like HoYoverse is a whole ass media company first, I feel like.
An orchestral score with opera singers cutting in as the action in the scene ramps up. What kind of Zelda clone has the budget for that? Another thing that caught my attention was the voice acting. Maybe it's because I was comparing it in my head to Breath of the Wild's admittedly not so great voices.
Oh man, oh man, oh man,
oh man!
But I was impressed by how well the characters in this scene express themselves. And hey, this guy's Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. I pick my character, name him Pogwill, and watch as his sister gets cubed. I then proceed to get cubed myself.
Not
Nice.
the cubes!
Let's pause on my first impressions of the game for a bit and address the elephant in the room. Unlike most Genshin Impact players, I don't like kids.
What are you trying to say with that? What are you trying to say about that? Sir, what?
The room. Unlike most Genshin Impact players, I don't like kids.
Based? That is crazy. That's wild. That is wild. That is wild.
Wait, no, that's the wrong elephant. This one. What kind of game is Genshin Impact? As I've repeated several times at this point, Genshin takes heavy inspiration from The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. The game is open world, with the core gameplay loop revolving around exploration and combat. Just like in Breath of the Wild, you can climb just about any surface. A lot of your time with the game will be spent climbing mountains, looking down for points of interest, and gliding towards them. These points of interest might be enemy camps, puzzles, NPCs, or all sorts of other things. This gameplay loop is what drove me to spend over 2,000 hours in Breath of the Wild's Hyrule, and Genshin Impact did a damn good job of recreating it. There were a lot of open world games that had tried to recreate that success, and I had tried them all.
As someone that never really played much of Breath of the Wild, okay, I couldn't get into the game for some reason. I really got into Genshin when it first came out. Like, I actually loved the exploration, and probably because I didn't play Breath of the Wild, I kind of felt good about the whole Genshin stuff at the time. Also helped with the fact that within the first week, the first 10 pull I ever did in the game, I got Venti. My first 10 pull, I got Venti. So of course I was going to stick around. But yeah, but I agree. I like the exploration at the beginning.
But Genshin Impact was the only one where I felt the same sense of wonder and joy that I did in that March of 2017. There were lots of other places where the Zelda influence could be seen in Genshin too. Many enemy designs, while not directly ripped, would definitely raise eyebrows for any fellow Zelda fans. The game had a bunch of ingredients to gather accompanied by a cooking system, a focus on environmental hazards to deal with enemies, a stamina system for exploration.
The cooking system in Genshin, and even Wuwa, and any other gacha, is kind of like useless. I never care about cooking food. In Genshin, it was just about, I just want some fried eggs to like fucking revive myself, maybe. But in Wuwa, it's like, I don't care about crit food. Just build your characters better. Or like, I don't care about, the only time, like maybe the Echo collection food was like decent. But like in all these games, I never really cared that much. But but when I first played Genshin, I did. When I first played it, I did, because it kind of mattered a little bit more then, because it would make a bigger difference. Once you've built characters, it doesn't matter at all. That's one thing. Like, cooking doesn't matter once you build characters.
In combat, a high-quality orchestral soundtrack. The list goes on. I went in expecting all of these similarities to feel like cheap imitations of their Zelda counterparts, but most of them just didn't. The exploration loop felt great. The enemies felt unique enough to justify their existence. The ways to fight them varied and enjoyable. The cooking is useless, but can't win them all, I guess. Despite all of these similarities, Genshin does handle a lot of things differently than Breath of the Wild. One big difference is that Genshin Impact is a gacha game. If you don't know what that is, don't worry. It's something I'll discuss at length later on. But for now, back to the start of the game. After a brief tutorial, I was introduced to the first party member you get access to, and... wait a second, a party member? Link doesn't get those, what the hell? Well, as it turns out...
And that's how the game gets you. The team systems, because normally in a usual, like, RPG, your main character is able to learn different skills as you progress through a game, right? You could choose skill trees. You'll be able to have different abilities, different weapons let you deal different attacks. You could switch out your loadout, switch out the skills that you have. That's why I love like immersive sim games, because like you could actually like change the way you interact with the world around you. Things like BioShock, things like Prey, those kinds of games. Like those games, you get a bunch of different options and tools, and you can choose how to progress. But in a gacha game, you can't do that. The only way you could have different gameplay styles is by pulling for different characters. That's the biggest difference between these. Like, the biggest.
This game had a few tricks of its own up its sleeve. Genshin Impact's gameplay differentiates itself from Breath of the Wild in two core ways: the combat and the story. Genshin's combat system sees you using teams of 4 characters that you can swap between at will. Each of these characters has a little trinket called a vision that is attuned to a different element. These visions are what let the characters in Genshin use their abilities. Combining attacks of different elements will cause elemental reactions, dealing extra damage and often applying debuffs. Things in the environment
The elemental reaction system was always... I liked it. At the time, I loved it. Although, as soon as like the national teams were a thing, everyone just used the same same teams for a long time until Dendro came out.
Elements such as explosive barrels, pools of water, freezing cold flowers, and so on. Enemies can also apply elements and make use of elemental reactions, making it important that you pay close attention to your character's current afflictions. This elemental combat system is the very core and soul of Genshin Impact's combat. Lots of games use elements to some extent in their combat, but Genshin really goes all in here. As you progress, you'll find yourself combining different buffs with specific reactions in order to make the most of the systems at play. Lots of enemies will have elemental weaknesses and resistances. That could mean you have to rely more on those environmental hazards than the plan that your team usually follows. The game's combat is definitely on the easier side, being designed so that players who plan and utilize elemental reactions well don't need much in terms of mechanical skill. While the game's lacking difficulty is definitely a contentious...
But I thought Genshin had a lot of depth in its combat. I don't know, Twitter told me, if I remember correctly, Twitter told me that there was a lot of combat depth when it came to Genshin. So, I don't know. I don't know about that one. Yeah, Twitter told me that there was a lot of depth with combat. So, what, you're just saying it doesn't take a lot of skill? It doesn't take a lot of skill to play Genshin combat? Clearly, you haven't played the game enough, Mr. Tourist, and you should go back and play some more. Yeah, maybe try some Stygian Onslaught, Tourist. How could you?
Topic among veteran players, myself included, I think the widespread appeal of the game speaks for itself. The game's combat is simple enough for anyone to get into and have fun with, but with lots of underlying complexity to satisfy the minds of more dedicated players. So, with Pogwill wielding the power of the wind and Amber shooting fiery arrows, I set off towards the next story objective.
I would love to see Genshin Player try holograms. Brother, Genshin doesn't even have a proper dodge function. Stop. Genshin players don't know how to dodge. They literally have never been conditioned to dodge in their fucking life, okay? It doesn't exist. A good dodge does not exist in Genshin. Stop. It's over at minute 1. I'm kidding. As a joke. I'm rage baiting. Stop. Don't take it so seriously. Don't get mad. It's just a joke. Calm down.
Remember what I said like less than 10 seconds ago? I set off towards the next story objective. Yeah, I lied. What I actually did was spend the next couple of hours exploring Mondstadt, the game's first region. Up to this point, I've spent a lot of time talking about how Genshin Impact was able to recreate Breath of the Wild's exploration loop without really explaining what that means. When playing Breath of the Wild, many reviewers and players, myself included, echoed the same sentiment. They never found themselves asking, "What do I do now?" The game's map was designed in a way that players would always have something on their personal to-do list, without the game directly putting it there. Let's use an example. You get to the top of a structure and open a chest. From up here, you can see a big glowing tower that will light up your map, but you also see a building at the top of the hill that you're on. You make your way up the hill, solve a quick puzzle, and look back towards the tower. From this angle, you realize that there was a shrine near where you just were. On the way to the shrine, you stumble across another quick puzzle. After completing the shrine, walking forwards will bring you to a small hill where you can see an enemy camp and a strange building in the distance. Keeping a mental note of the Sheikah Tower from before... Intent
is so important when it comes to an open world game. The worst thing you can do is to make an open world that has nothing in it worth exploring outside of light chests. Like, you have to make the world feel engaging. There has to be a reason you go to a place. You've got to be intrigued. Like, or going to a place reaps rewards. Like Skyrim, I feel like was a really good example of that, right? You go to an area, suddenly you can get lost for hours, going down a tangent, finding a new storyline, and going on a quest that you didn't realize that you'd be going down on. And sometimes I feel like gachas just aren't that great when it comes to that side of like open world exploration. For me personally, I've always kind of wanted it to be a little bit more like integrated like that. But when it comes to like looking at an actual map, everything has to be with intent. Like, things have to be placed for you to be curious and go to explore. That's the whole point of exploration. You make a map for a reason.
Continue in this direction, and upon reaching the building, you find a stable, a side quest, and another shrine. From here, you can spy yet another... I hope you get the point. The game's activities weren't just strewn about randomly throughout its play space. They were carefully and methodically placed to guide players into exploring the world, all while making the players feel like it was their own idea. The map designers were also careful not to go overboard with this, as showing a player too many points of interest could cause them to forget about some of their plans or even feel overwhelmed and quit playing. This is the exploration loop that Genshin Impact replicates. While capturing footage for this video, I spent hours just exploring the early game regions, even after I had stopped recording. I don't want to stop playing until I've cleared my to-do list, but the map designers have made certain that won't happen easily. I firmly believe that if I hadn't—
Bro, the little like homunculuses or whatever it is, or the you see one and then you have to go get it, and then you see another one and then you have to go get it, then another one, and then you have to like, oh, if I climb this tower, maybe I'll find another thing that I can collect. Unfortunately, though, as the years have gone on, I just don't care about Sealies. Yeah, I just don't care about them as much anymore. It's just one of those things, like the reward, the effort is not worth the reward for me anymore, unfortunately. But when the game first came out, 100%, absolutely, on those like it was crazy.
Those first few hours of the game just exploring the world and experiencing this gameplay loop, I might not have continued playing. After a while, though, I finally decided I was tired of not having a glider and actually continued on with the main story. One of the common criticisms of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was its lackluster main story. The game takes place 100 years after an event known as the Calamity, and the start of the game you play is actually just the start of the final chapter of its story. A majority of the game's important cutscenes are delivered in a series of flashbacks, and the plot progresses less in the actual game than it does in these scenes. While I didn't mind this approach, it left a lot of Zelda fans feeling jaded. Zelda as a series has always been known for having structured adventures that take you from place to place, with a new goal being directly given to you each time. Breath of the Wild did away with that concept and didn't gain much for it. Why am I talking about how Breath of the Wild delivers its story? Because Genshin did none of that. Genshin Impact has a main story more reminiscent of a classic Zelda approach, always having some sort of concrete next objective. The game manages this while still having that open world exploration that made Breath of the Wild such a hit. I believe this is what made so many Zelda fans like myself get sucked into the world of Genshin. Every character you meet has a deep backstory, every new region has its own history, every quest you complete feels important. Somehow, Genshin Impact managed to shove that feeling of exploration and wonder into its quest design. You'll learn about the history of Teyvat and its residents just by playing the game. Quests will have you simultaneously saving the world and solving its mysteries.
Bro, this was back in the time where I would read quest text. I used to read everything. I would interact with everything. I would do all my side quests. I would try and enjoy all of it. And bro, this is kind of bringing back like fond memories of like when I first played the game. You know, like it is bringing for me when I first played, and even with my friends, like it's goddamn that feeling, bro. Do you remember that feeling when you find a domain for the first time and then you go into it and it makes that noise as you go in? Bro, even that made you feel happy when you played, and now it feels like nothing.
As you get further in, the stakes get higher and the mysteries deeper. This is the part of Genshin that keeps me coming back. Every time there's an update with more story content, I find myself counting down the hours before its release. You heard me right. Content updates. Genshin Impact is a live service game, and
I remember when it first came out, and like you could only get so far, and it's like you had like Dvalin, and like you couldn't go to certain areas. And I remember completing the story, and it's like, oh well, wait for the next update, and that pissed me the fuck off, dude. That pissed me off so bad. That genuinely pissed me off. I was like, but I want to play the game, but I want to play, and I couldn't. I had to wait. I hated that at first. I really did. Even now, I don't. It's just Genshin conditioned me to like suck up like the whole live service like modeler stuff. It was like you got really invested, and then like, oops, sorry, can't play anymore. It's like fuck.
At the time of writing, its story is still ongoing. Every 6 weeks, the game gets an update with varying amounts of new content. Each patch will have a few limited time events that give players rewards and sometimes even contain unique stories. Once a year, the game receives a major patch, adding a new nation to the game. The story sees you traveling to these nations to meet with their respective gods or archons, each of which preside over one of the 7 elements. Needless to say, these yearly patches are the ones most anticipated by players. The main story quest for a region is split into 3 segments, with the latter 2 being released with each subsequent patch after the yearly one. This is what builds that anticipation I was talking about. Players have to wait a long time to see the main story unfold. During the interim, patches will also add character quests, which see you meeting and learning about a specific character.
Oh god, it's been bro. I feel like, bro, I swear I'm gonna be 30 by the time I witness like us going to like Kanya or something, or like maybe approaching the end of like a story arc actually with Genshin. Like bro, I might be married, have kids by the time I experience the end of the Genshin Impact like normal quest. Like, oh my god, it's oh Jesus, guys. Oh god, I'm never gonna see it. We're never gonna see it, are we? It's never gonna end. It's fucking never gonna end. I really want to see more character story quests in Wu. Yeah, they've kind of stopped doing them now, haven't they? And now they just integrate it into stories.
Backstory and personality. There are also occasional patches that add new zones to explore that aren't tied to the main story. Live service games are a contentious topic, but I'm generally not bothered by Genshin Impact's approach. The sheer volume of optional content makes it so most people will have more than enough stuff to do between patches. There have definitely been times where the game was in a content drought, but I've already put so many hours into the game that I don't ever feel I deserve more content. A lot of people, however, do feel that way.
It depends how much you play the game and how invested you are in the events they put out. Some people just care about story content. Some people care about the story content and they care about the mini games. Some people care about the character companion quests. Like, you can pick and choose what you want to play, right? And I'm not someone who really likes the minigames in Genshin, so I don't. I just play the main Archon stories, and sometimes I'll do the character quest too. That's really all I've ever particularly done. I don't care for the minigames or anything like that, to be honest. And if the game is your daily driver, then yeah, you're always going to be wanting more content. And I think Genshin's problem was that it had a split audience, right? It had a split audience of people who just care about like exploration and they just care about the main quest. You have other people who care about the combat and wanting more things with combat, and the devs never gave them that. They always updated with quests and stories, but they didn't add anything new to combat for literally years until they did, and it wasn't like the best. So it's you know, hey, they cater to what people do the most, and seemingly that's like story content, obviously.
And I recommend they go play other games like Breath of the Wild. Or
you can't say that. No, the internet gets mad if you tell people to play other games if you're not having fun in your gacha. What do you mean? What do you mean you could go play other games? You're not allowed to do that. No.
The Kingdom.
I'm kidding, by the way. Obviously, once you're done, you've got nothing else that you want to be doing in the game. I think it's very healthy to go play other games. That's fine. These games are meant to be played like every single day. You're okay. It's fine.
Speaking of time played, I really wish that was a metric that was visible to me. I don't have a concrete way of knowing how many hours I put into Genshin.
Wait, I do. Wait, at least on Epic anyway. Wait, hold on. Wait, hang on. Wait, I'll find mine out. Wait, hold up, guys. Wait. I'm gonna expose myself here. I have only had it on Epic for not very long. So take this with a grain of salt. Take this with a grain of salt. Hold up. 546 hours. 546 hours. And that's only the time I've had it on Epic Games. When was my Honkai Star Rail? I'm curious. 368. Okay. Damn. That's not all my hours, obviously, but it's only on Epic.
but I think the same 2,000 as Breath of the Wild would actually be a conservative estimate, and a lot of that time isn't just me forcing replayability like I did with Zelda. The game really does just have that much content. Its world is truly massive.
Some might say too massive.
The last thing I want to highlight about the Genshin Impact experience is its environments. For most of the video so far, I've tried to avoid using much footage from beyond the opening hours of the game, but I think the effort that HoYoverse's art team has put into realizing this universe deserves showing off. There won't be any story spoilers, but if you want to skip ahead, I'll throw a timestamp on screen to the next segment.
I'm not a pussy. People a lot of the times say that Genshin looks like shit, but they still has this art style that I do kind of enjoy. I'll be real, they know how to make environments, and if they were able to do Genshin with a higher fidelity, which they've been doing more and more as time goes on, right? They've upped the system requirements like this year for Genshin, so they are trying to improve it like bit by bit, and it is getting better. I have always had a soft spot for its art style. Like people often rag on it. Like, no, it's not as good as like Wua in terms of like the fidelity, but the art style I really much appreciate. As someone who is an artist and has been a professional, like worked in the professional like media space for this sort of stuff, like I do appreciate them putting an effort into how the emotions it's made to invoke in you. And everything has a theme and a style, and it's consistent, and they stick with it and they run with it, and I do appreciate that. Yeah, Inazuma was cool. Like everything was made with intention, and every area had a theme, and you knew exactly the theme they were trying to deliver and serve to you, like every single time. Like you knew Sumeru, you knew Inazuma, you knew what they were giving to you. I remember you know, never mind. No, I remember going from Mondstadt to Liyue and seeing the port at Liyue for the first time, and I was like, whoa, this is actually like pretty cool. Do you guys remember that? Like going to Liyue for the first time, and it was like, oh my god, like the first time you got that experience, like this is so different from Mondstadt, and it's bigger and there was more to explore. Mondstadt was quite flat and green, but going to Liyue with all these mountains and the port, it was like, oh, this is really goddamn cool. And then Inazuma was like, okay, now we're incorporating more of the weather stuff into everything, and all the housing looks different. And then you went to Sumeru, and Sumeru was so massive. Sumeru was a huge step up in terms of like effects and how they wanted to make the world feel and look. And then Fontaine, and then even I will say, even though I don't like Natlan story very much, I never finished it, I got so bored. You have to admit that they worked their ass off to make the areas and places look a certain type of way. You know, you can't deny it. Like I feel they've always put in like a lot of effort into all of them, whether you like it or not. They've tried. The desert was nice to look at, yeah, but fucking awful to explore. Bro, fuck Sumeru for exploration. I don't care. It looked pretty. That shit was way too fucking big. Way too many fucking tunnels with too many fucking layers. I hated it. I hated it so much. Exploring Sumeru, I'm good. It was way too fucking big. Y'all can't convince me otherwise. I don't know why they did that. Still, whatever. Bro, seeing this for the first time in Fontaine, you knew this was going to be a good fucking patch. You knew it was gonna be big. Even though the story was really only like relegated to like 2 areas of Fontaine, you literally just went back and forward to basically kind of 2 places and the prison, right? Apart from that, like, it was still really good. The actual plot was good.
So, considering everything I just showed off, it's no wonder I've spent most of my playtime exploring Teyvat. Most of my playtime. The rest of it? Slaving away at my dailies. Genshin has both a set of daily quests and weekly battle pass objectives, because of course it does. These don't take a big commitment to complete, but both give a relatively large amount of important items compared to the time it takes to do them, making it very important for someone who cares about the game to make sure they get them done. This is inherently predatory. It's been proven for a long time now that daily objectives are an effective way to make logging into your game a part of a player's daily routine.
They're inherently predatory. We've spoken about, what is it, the dark practices or dark methods that games use to keep coming back. It's predatory, but I see it as like the lower end of being predatory. Like, the daily login isn't the thing that incentivizes you to then spend as much money, which I would consider to be like a more severe end of being predatory. But this is really just about retention time, and the more time you play a game, the more likely you are to like spend on said thing, right? It's predatory, but I see like daily missions and battle passes as really being something that isn't like a huge deal.
Anecdotally and quite embarrassingly,
but like, they just took a lot of time. At the start, commission just took a lot of time. I'm glad they made them more smoother as the years have gone on, but oh my god, I hate doing my commissions every day.
I can say that I haven't missed a day of logins in over 3 years. It's just something I do every day, either immediately after.
Bro's cooked. Bro, okay, bro's an addict. Bro's cooked. I can't do. I struggle to do my woo dailies. I struggle cooked.
Getting home from work or right before bed.
Cooked.
I started writing the script just after doing them.
Bro, you're cooked. You okay. Holy cook.
The Battle Pass system has a similar effect, causing players to feel like they're missing out if they don't complete it on time. This FOMO is what makes the live service game model so effective, and is the reason lots of people who no longer enjoy Genshin continue to make themselves play every day. I, for one, still enjoy my time with the game, but can't pretend I'm not affected by these predatory tactics. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is that Genshin is available for mobile alongside its PC and console releases. As such, a couple unsavory mechanics usually only seen in mobile games are present here. One of these common practices is to have an energy resource that recharges over time, even when not
getting into the gacha.
In Genshin, it's called resin. Resin is used to claim the rewards for various challenges and bosses you can face in the game. You can still.
But when you first start these games, you don't really notice it because they give you so much free resin that it doesn't matter, and you play for a long time until you get to actually progressing your characters, and then you're like, oh, okay. And then you start running out of like coins and stuff like that and money, and then you're like, oh, okay. And then you start getting frustrated at the fact that you have to, so many characters you have to level and different elements, and then you're like, oh, okay, I got so much I need to goddamn do. There's so much of it I need to do.
Complete these challenges without any resin, but you won't be able to claim any of the rewards. These rewards are needed for almost all progression in terms of making your characters more powerful, so it's a system you're forced to interact with. This is another mechanic to get players to log into the game every day. The argument can be made that the resin time gate is actually a good thing, as it prevents players from spending hours and hours grinding without end, but there are better ways to discourage that. Final Fantasy XIV's rested experience system is a great example. In that game, logging out will make it so that the next time you log in, you'll obtain boosted experience points for a bit, depending on how long it's been since you last played. They don't outright prevent.
World of Warcraft does this too, actually. So, it's not just Final Fantasy. Why are we favoriting like one MMO here when lots of others do it? Okay, can we like stop being biased? I'm joking.
Prevent you from gaining XP through grinding. Instead,
also the fact that this guy's an MMO player too makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of crossover between MMO players and gacha joys.
just discourage it and encourage daily logins. This has the same effect on player retention, pushing players towards the habit of logging in each day for shorter periods, while still giving players the ability to play how they choose. A system like this, where using resin...
Bro just explained resin overflow. That didn't exist at the beginning of the game. And in fact, Genshin had to raise its resin cap at one point. Like, at the beginning of the game, resin was way more scarce and harder to deal with at the beginning. like they instead of giving an overflow, they upped it. They upped it, didn't they? Yeah.
It's a big bonus to rewards instead of gating them outright would be welcome.
It should have it. Oh no, I don't doubt that. It should definitely have it. They've tried to compensate it by you being able to craft like additional resin that you can keep for a certain amount of time. Like that's been their way of dealing with it, but I hate that. I hate having to interact with it. It should be like Honkai Star Rail, where like the overflow, you have that overflow. Like I love the HSR methods of doing it. Honestly, stamina shouldn't exist. I don't think stamina really shouldn't exist at all anyway, and it should be a better way of like progression should be tied to like fights of how many you want to do and doing. I don't know. I really don't like the idea of forcing gated progression at any point in time. And you can make mechanics to make that, like Wizardry is a good example of that, right? Of like a gacha game that isn't, you're not tied to like progression. It's like, how far can you go before you die too many times? And then you're like, oh, okay, I actually physically can't. My own skill stopped me from progressing. Like that's a really good example of like a good way of mitigating like a stamina system. Is like, how far could you physically progress? It's like, okay, now I have to like take a break. But again, they want you to log in every day because that's what matters for like shareholders, is, and how successful the game is often dictated not by how much money it makes, but how often players are coming back to play your game every single day. So that's the incentive there, right? And then you have the Do at Night Abyss method, which is you could infinitely grind, but we kind of see how Do at Night Abyss is doing right now, of like, well, people kind of get bored doing the same stuff for prolonged periods of time and burning themselves out, and they don't want to log in every day. That's the whole point. It proves the thing of like having a stamina system makes people play the game more. It's just the reality of one of the dark practices, and there's a reason why it works.
While I find the daily logins and resin mechanic to be the biggest roadblocks for my personal enjoyment of the game, their impact pales in comparison to the game's most prominent issue, the reason behind this video's title and all of my complex feelings on the game: monetization.
Genshin and monetization goes hand in hand. Whales! Sorry. Uchi-chara-kumnaik.
I'll say it again, but louder this time. Genshin Impact is...
Sorry, hang on. I gotta go back. I gotta see... I don't have Yalan. Bro, the amount of people that were on their knees like dogs for Yalan, and even to this day, is crazy. Like, it's actually wild.
I'll say it again, but louder this time. Genshin Impact is a gacha game. Now, if you're naive like I was back in 2020 when I started playing, you might not know what that is, so let me explain. Gacha refers to a genre of games that offer progression through doing random chance rolls to get in-game items, characters, weapons, and so on.
This is why normies
just
hate
like
us.
the loot boxes you've seen in many AAA games.
This is why the normal
past.
people are like,
the most popular of these games all focus on obtaining characters to use in your gameplay, as many players will find themselves attached to them and feel compelled to try to get their favorites. Remember how I talked about how each Genshin character has an awesome...
Yeah, I was more of a Eula enjoyer than a Yalan enjoyer, but I don't have Eula either, but, you know, I was own.
...unique backstory and quest. It's not just to deepen the lore, it's to make you want them. It's a sales pitch. You can earn these chance rolls, in Genshin they're called wishes, by playing the game, but the most efficient way to earn them is through the limited time events and the daily quests, feeding into that FOMO I mentioned earlier. That is... unless you're willing to open your wallet. Wishes can be purchased for your hard-earned, real-world dollars. The exchange rate depends on your currency, but for USD, even buying the largest $100 microtransaction will only get you 50 wishes. That's one wish for $2. To really explain how bad that is, I'm gonna have to go more in depth on how Genshin's wishing system works.
We could all thank the European Union for starting to enforce some kind of regulation that you have to see how much outright it is to buy a character, or to have more transparent pricing when it comes in, so you know exactly how much you're spending. So good job, European Union and regulatory bodies, for starting to enforce these things on these games, because I do think that's important. The fact, like, having in-game currencies are purely made just to kind of blind you to how much things really cost. Like, it doesn't tell you how many wishes this is. This tells you how much of the in-game currency you're getting, and you stop understanding what worth your money actually is. Like, it's to hide it, and it should never exist. It should never, none of this should exist in any of these games. I'm of the belief they should ban in-game currencies for every game ever. Just have, it costs this much for this pause, or this much for this character. That's all it should be. We should completely scrap in-game currency. There is zero reason for it to exist. And that's my word on that. I think you can have, like, the monetary equivalent, and then you can have an in-game currency that isn't purchasable, like resources from the game or whatever it is for pulls. That's different. But things that you purchase for, you shouldn't have in-game currency. I fully believe that it should not be a thing at all.
Buckle in. First off, there are 3 tiers of items you can get when doing a wish. A 3-star will always be a weapon, and most of them are relatively weak. A 4-star can be either a character or a weapon, most of which are going to be useful. A 5-star can also be either a character or a weapon, with almost all of them being in the highest echelon of power. When you use a wish, you have a 94.3% chance to get a 3-star weapon. That is a 94.3% chance to get something that will most likely be useless. In the early games, some of these can be good, and a very select few even see use in endgame content, but it's such a small amount that it's hardly worth factoring in. Now, for the 4-stars, you have a 5.1% chance to get one of these, with then further split 50-50 odds on a character or a weapon. These also have something called a pity value, where if you use enough wishes without receiving a 4-star or better, you'll be guaranteed to get one. Every 10th wish is guaranteed to be 4-star or better. Lastly, the 5-stars have a 0.6% chance to pop up and have a pity value of 90. These, again, are split into characters.
Genshin's pity is so high. It's so, bro. I hit with 90. I'm like, oh my god. Oh.
Characters and weapons, but most of the time you'll actually have a 55% chance of getting the character you were trying to get. Getting confused yet? That's what HoYoverse wants. The systems behind wishing are technically fully transparent because they legally have to be, but they consciously make them overly
I didn't
complex.
care. I got red team my first 10 pull playing Genshin, and that was it. And then I lost all my 50-50s after that, and then I got frustrated with the game, and then I stopped playing because I wasn't getting my pulls. That was it. I wasn't getting the characters I wanted, and I stopped playing for like a year. That was it.
In order to make it difficult for players to calculate how much money they would have to spend to get what they're aiming for. And we're not even done yet. In addition to the 90 pity value for 5-stars I mentioned, there's also a hidden mechanic referred to by the player base as soft pity. Once you hit 75 wishes used without having obtained a 5-star, every subsequent wish will actually be a 1 in 3 chance to get one. If you manage to get to 90 wishes against those odds, you are 1, very unlucky, and 2, will be guaranteed a 5-star at that point. In addition to this, earlier I mentioned getting the character you're aiming for. The wishes are used on what the game calls banners. These banners will have a featured 5-star character and 3 featured 4-star characters. When you pull any 4 or 5-star on these banners, it will have a 50% chance to be one of the featured characters, and a 50% chance to pull from the list of standard characters and weapons. Of note,
dude,
the standard list...
You might think getting 4 stars is easy. I went years without being able to pull for a Kuki. It's only been this year I got my first Kuki Shinobu. I tried for literally years to get... I never got a single one. And I spent so long trying to get a C6 Farazan for my Wanderer to at least be fucking usable. Never happened. I still don't have a C6 Farazan, but like it took, bro, the fall pissed me off, because oftentimes you gotta have them like C6 or at least like C3 or something. I couldn't get a Kuki for years. Like, it's not like I could just pay for it or guarantee it. Bro, oh my god. I imagine having 4-star, being unlucky with 4 stars. Crazy.
Does not contain all the game's 5-star units. Also, to make it even more confusing, last year they added a new...
Thank God in Wooer I can like get the 4 stars from the shop if I need them.
Mechanic where losing the 50-50 chance then has a 10% chance to double back and make you win the 50-50.
Oh my god, I remember I got the 50-50 and I got the catching radiance as well. Do you guys remember that? I think also my skirk. Do you remember? I fucking got 50-50 and then I got a captain radiance at the same fucking thing in the same temple. Oh my god, double skirk was crazy.
Making your effective odds 55-45 because it just wasn't complex enough. If you do lose that chance, the next time you get a 5-star, it is guaranteed to be the one that you wanted. I'm gonna call it here on explaining the odds, but I haven't even covered half the mechanics. There are actually 5 different banner types that all work a bit differently, at least with what I did cover.
Please talk about the weapon banner. Please, I beg, talk about the weapon banner. Genshin and weapon banners have an insane history, dude. Oh my god. Oh, Staff of Homer incident. Dude, the Staff of Homer incident will forever be a goated piece of like Genshin history. Hail Tectone! Oh my god, Staff of Homeless, bro, please, bro. Please, $1,000 to not get the weapon because it was never, there was no pity. Oh my god, what a time! What a time! Oh Jesus.
Give you the dollar amounts required to get a character you want. Remember that we need 180 wishes to cover for the worst luck possible. If you want to guarantee that you get the featured character on a banner and you don't have any wishes from playing the game,
he said it was closer to 10. Wait, how much did he spend? Wait, how much did bro end up spending? I don't even remember.
$365. That is 3 $100 purchases to get you 151 wishes, another $50 purchase will get you 24 more, and a final $15 for 7 wishes to push us over that total of 180 that we need. That is a completely insane amount of money for any game to ask from a player all at once. And I do mean at once. I neglected to mention that Genshin's banners only last for 21 days.
But technically, the chances of you actually spending $365 is not like it's not that high. So like, shut up, don't say that. If you're about to stop, if you're defending gacha banners like this, just stop. Just literally stop. Just stop. Okay, stop. Log off. Go outside. Touch grass.
You have 21 days to scrounge together the wishes to get the character you want. Now, these banners do come back and are announced sometime beforehand, so you do have a little bit of leeway to save up what you get from dailies, quests, and exploring, but if you wanted characters back to back, it's nearly impossible without spending money. Oh, and one more thing. Just getting the character? That's not enough. Every character has 6 constellations that are unlocked by getting a
base E2 for Arena Enjoyer.
The same character. These give buffs that get progressively stronger the closer you are to maxed out, and they are no easier to get than your first copy of that character. Getting these will cost over $1,000.
Hail Woowa for getting copies in the store.
I should point out that a very, very small portion of players will actually spend such insane amounts of money on the game.
There's no point in getting constellations. I very much am against anyone getting constellations, even in Woowa. Unless you have the extra corals in the shop to kind of like make up for it, then sure, go ahead. But I will never tell anyone to get constellations for things, even if it's make the game like better. Honkai Star Rail, I think, is probably the worst for like requiring constellations. Like you really want like eidolons to for some teams to like work, so like I don't know, and so that's probably the biggest offender. Genshin probably second for how much like sequences and constellations change gameplay. Yeah, probably, but HSR is definitely the worst offender.
For those who will, gacha game companies have given them a name: whales. Whales are people.
Oh, that's you, chat. Look at that. You big fucking whale. Oh, look at you. Oh, there's a self-portrait of all you guys. Oh, look at that. Yeah, I bet you enjoy that. Yeah, go on, you big fucking whales. All right.
either A, have large amounts of disposable income they are willing and comfortable to spend on these games, or
why is Jeffrey Epstein there? What? Why is we got an Epstein jump scare? You could use any rich man. Why do we choose Epstein? Are you implying that whales are pedophiles? Are we implying that whales are in fact pedophiles? Like, what do we... Bro, this editor is... What the fuck?
or B, income.
Bro, it's
whales are people who either A, have large amounts of disposable income they are willing and comfortable to spend on these games, or B, they are people who have issues with irresponsible spending and with gambling. Because let's be clear here, gacha is gambling. This second group of players is the reason I can't, in good faith, recommend Genshin Impact to any of my friends, nor to you watching. You can't really know if you'll develop a gambling addiction until you're exposed to it, and by that point, it's often...
I feel this is a little bit of a cop-out answer. I feel that... Boobs, oh my god. I feel this is a little bit of a cop-out answer. Like, I don't want people to play... This is more of a critique on gacha games than it is on Genshin. Okay, guys. Okay, look at the boobies. All right, listen. I'll get rid of the boobies for a minute. Y'all are too distracted. I feel it's a little bit of a cop-out answer to be like, I can't recommend Genshin Impact because it's a gacha game, and therefore gambling is bad. Because there's so much more about the game that makes it to where, like, I can't recommend it from just a game perspective. And I feel just chalking it down to, like, gambling bad is kind of a little bit of a cop-out. It's a little bit of a cop-out.
...recommend Genshin Impact to any of my friends, nor to you watching. You can't really know if you'll develop a gambling addiction until you're exposed to it, and by that point, it's often too late. There are countless people whose lives have been ruined by gambling as a whole, and I personally have met people who have had their lives ruined by Genshin Impact and by other gacha games. I consider myself lucky that I happen to not be susceptible to these practices. Now, if you heard people talking about Genshin closer to its release, you may recall that its gacha system was actually praised by many players.
Realistically, it's not only gacha games that have these practices nowadays. Free-to-play mechanics are creeping into more and more games every single year. But we're also seeing, like, a retaliation when it comes to, like, bigger AAA games making a scene, like Clair Obscur, for example, or like Silksong, that are just games coming out. Like it's a swinging pendulum of counterculture at this point. But yeah,
was that? Well, there were a few reasons. Gacha games as a genre are incredibly predatory, and mechanics such as the pity and 50-50 systems I mentioned were not industry standard at the time. Genshin is actually the game that popularized these. So in 2020, for people who were familiar with the genre, it was a breath of fresh air. I personally do not believe in giving credit to games for having mechanics that are not as bad, but this was mostly a narrative coming from people familiar with gacha games, unlike myself. The other common praise the game received was for the fact that all its content could be completed without spending a penny with relative ease, even its endgame. This is no longer the case, all thanks to a foe that many of you are intimately familiar with.
Wait, he said it. Okay, never mind. I take it back. He said the thing.
Power creep.
Wait, he said the thing. I take it back. I take it back.
Now, this section was originally much longer. So much longer, in fact, that I ended up writing a script for that to be its own video, one which may or may not ever actually be produced. Unfortunately, the scope of the segment ended up too large to include in this broader review of the game as a whole. While at release, Genshin had very few issues with power creep, over time, the developers became more comfortable making characters that filled more roles, and eventually, ones that were strictly more powerful than older units. This on its own wouldn't be so bad, but in the last year, endgame content has been painfully catered to new characters. and the latest mode's highest difficulty is completely unclearable without having every single new 5-star.
Yo, Kurohime, thank you for 5 months, brother. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Along with constellations for them. Again, this just scratches the surface of the story of the game's power creep, so if I ever do make that follow-up video, check it out.
Guys, you can like, it's simple though. You could avoid power creep because if you play the game every day, just save your resources for a couple of characters in the new patches, because then the end game will be catered towards the characters from those patches. So just get those characters in the patch and then do the same thing next patch. Just save to get a good team for every patch, and then you'll be able to clear stuff. Oh wowee. You just don't be stupid and greedy, guys. Just like, be careful. Just don't be stupid and greedy. Pull better. Pull better.
I've seen too many people have their lives ruined by gambling. I don't think gacha games have nearly the destructive power of things like prediction markets or sports betting or casinos, but they prey upon the same human tendencies and
the problem is it's for kids, right? It's heavily targeted towards children and kids, and that's why it is a problem in that regard. As an adult, I think as an adult, it's easier to be like, I'm not gonna fucking spend this money on this fucking game because of like, for silly anime characters. But for kids, it's a way more of an enticing pull. That's the real problem when it comes to like the whole like gambling aspect of it. It's gambling kids can get involved with. Like, we've seen the horror stories of like parents giving kids their phones and suddenly they've spent thousands in in-game currency without them realizing. Like, we've seen so many of that like in the news before. Like, it happens.
I personally know people who have spent thousands of dollars on Genshin and have seen the stories of people who have completely ruined
oh my God, that was a legendary video
and their lives through spending on this game. I love Genshin Impact. I do. You can really feel the passion behind every artistic aspect of the game's design. I plan to see it through till the end, waiting eagerly for every patch. But for you, for my friends, my family, my viewers, I can't share this experience. I want nothing more than to share my love for this game with others, but I can't invite you along for the ride. Not when I know just how bumpy that ride can be. Genshin Impact is the best game I can't recommend. If you've watched all the way to the end of this video, first of all, thank you. This is a video I've been wanting to make for a couple years now, and these thoughts are ones I've had since I first started playing Genshin all the way back in 2020. Originally, I had planned for this to be a much longer project, but I think there's already plenty of videos that go super in-depth on many of the same points I brought up. I hadn't watched it until after I was almost done with this project, but I highly recommend checking out CJ's video titled My Complicated Relationship with Genshin Impact. The conclusion they come to in their analysis and the basis of mine are the same, but I think the structure of their video makes it worth watching alongside my own. Speaking of my video, I would really appreciate any feedback you can offer in the comments below. I think I probably overcommitted to this being my first project, and I know I have a lot of room
honestly,
for growth,
this guy did a phenomenal job.
Suggestions would go a long way.
I love the way this video was laid out.
Any questions you have while I'm down in the comments too. I do have a couple more videos in the scripting stage right now, so subscribe and turn on notifications to catch my next project. And lastly, please don't throw away all of your savings on Farina. She's not worth it.
Dude, this was a very well done video. I loved the scripting of this. This guy has a great voice, great scripting. You guys don't understand how many times I see people do video essays with very clearly like ChatGPT written scripts. I can tell a mile away when someone has like AI to goddamn script, and I can tell this guy has been very careful with all of his words. And this is refreshing. Dare I say it's been a refreshing video to watch, because I really hate the chat GPT video essay stuff a lot of people are doing. This was very well put together. Pogwell, this is a W video. Even though it's things we've all kind of spoken about before numerous times, it's nice to hear it coming from you and to hear it from this video. Even though we kind of know everything that's about to be told to us, we've heard it a million times, the way it was delivered was in such a way that it was a pleasure to watch. And for your first video, that was actually kind of insane.
Getting their
that was insane. You are earning my sub, you are earning my like. And guys, you should all go sub too, because honestly, this guy is going to be making banging content. We can tell. This guy, if this is how he makes videos, he should do this for things outside of gacha too. Like, I hope he does other video game related stuff. My thing for this guy, make this kind of video for other games. It would be explosive. Do not limit yourself to gacha, please. Go and this style of video for other games would be crazy. So this is a W video. This is a W find. Yeah, absolutely quality. Very, very, very quality. That was awesome, guys. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Twitch.tv/Captain Cabinetz, Captain Cabinetz.